Hello, everyone! Our marathon devoted to the 2024 World Series of Poker is entering its final stretch. After Pierre Calamusa was eliminated in 17th place in the legendary $10,000 Six-Max, Adrian Mateos is ready to take over in the same tournament, back in top form just a few days after his cruel exit from the main event. With just 16 players remaining and a 30 big blind stack in front of him, the Madrid native is in a good position to add another WSOP final table to his collection, and perhaps a 5th world champion bracelet. Back over to you, Adri.
I'm on day 3 of the $10,000 Six-Max, the last tournament of the summer, the last tournament of the World Series. After a very long series with over 45 days of playing, nearly every day, and with many deep runs, I'm arriving at the last tournament with a pretty big stack, even though it's true that in the last hands I lost quite a few chips and I currently have about 30 blinds. I came to day 3 as one of the chip leaders, but the start of the day has been challenging, and now I have 30 blinds, and I'm really eager to fight with them. Pair of fives. It's a tough tournament with many professional players, in which I feel very comfortable because the tables are six-handed. Currently we're 5 at the table. Here, pocket fives, it's a hand that's borderline. I think with pocket fours I would call pocket sixes is an obvious all-in, and pocket fives is borderline. It will depend on my opponent's raising frequency and how often I think the button is calling. But I think it's more profitable to go all-in in this spot.
All-in?
Oh. It's 30 blinds, but against the player who's opening, it's a bit less. 5-5 is a hand that works well as a 3-bet shove.
6-5. 1.180.
And in case I get called by high cards like ace-jack, ace-queen, ace-king, I have 50%. We'll see if they all fold, which would be the perfect scenario. Oh, the big blind calls, the player who was behind. Not much luck, his range is quite strong. And hopefully he has ace-king or ace-queen, let's see. Oh, he has jacks. Not good news. I need a lot of luck now.
You wish you called now, Rocco?
What's that?
You wish you called now?
No, I just wish you didn't have jacks.
No, I lose and I'm left with 10 blinds. Tough day today. I started the day as one of the chip leaders with about 20 players left, and I've just been losing every hand throughout the day.
780.
Still 10 blinds. I have to fight. I really like this tournament because with 6-handed tables, we're often playing 5-handed. And in short-handed play, I feel very comfortable, and I know that the win rates, that is the speed at which I can win, are much higher than in full ring, where you ultimately have to play fewer hands. At these short-handed tables, you'll often play approximately 40% of the hands, 35 to 40% of the hands, and being involved in quite a few hands means your win rate is higher if you're a winning player.
All in. 400.
An obvious all in here on the button.
Four. Sack 4.
10 blinds. He folds. Good news. Alright, I'm gonna try to make a comeback. It's not gonna be easy, but in the end, the only thing I can control is to play each hand the best I can. Mentally, it's tough to go from having a very big stack to being short stacked, but let's see if I can make a comeback with a bit of luck. I know most of my opponents at the table.
It's 3. I wanna see. Too late.
Yeah, I'd like to see it too.
I have quite a few regular players. On my right, there's Michael Rocco. The one with the dog cap is Isilda one, Victor Blom. And the player on my left is the one I know least, but he also looks like a professional. 8.5 blinds, 9-7 off. It's all in.
All in. 425.
Let's hope he folds. He folds. The dream is still alive. A good hand. Victor opens, and with my hand, it's an obvious shove.
All in. 425.
8.5 blinds. I have little fold equity. He should call me with most of his opening range. From time to time he can fold, but most of the time he's going to call me. He seems to have a decent hand. He only needs 30% to call here. If he thinks he doesn't have the right pot odds, it's because he has a pretty weak hand. The mere fact that he's thinking that much is good news for me. That means he'll have approximately 30% against my range. He folds, and, well, I win a nice pot without showdown, which represents an important part of my stack. I won 200,000 chips with a stack of 400,000. It's a pretty significant portion.
Okay, I'll time this up. One. What the fuck are you gonna have?
They're breaking the table.
2 tables behind me, right here, guys.
Maybe a few. Not so many.
The last 12 players. We are split into 2 tables.
Card there, sir.
Tough table. The majority or even all are professional players with whom I've already played on other occasions.
Card. The table chip leader and they had big blind had kings on this. Just getting like trashed.
Jack, 9 of hearts. 13 blinds on the cutoff. With this hand, it's enough to go all in. I'm leaving 1 chip behind, in case there's an all-in at the other table.
600.
I can tank for the pay jump. We're down to 12th and 11th pays a bit more. The player on the button, James Chen, is thinking. He calls. Bad news. I'm going to need to win this all in. I'm watching the other table to see if they go all in and get eliminated before me.
So you counted, right? Yeah.
Obviously, when I get called here, I'm going to have approximately 40%, so a 60% chance of being eliminated. I also have to take into account the possibility of getting a pay jump in case that happens. Obviously, the best thing is for my cards to hit and for me to double up, but if not, to try at least to get a pay jump.
2 players.
Good flop. Yeah, I don't know what he called me with, but I'm trying to see the other table that's next to us. No action. The other hand is over, and that's why I'm going all in.
All in. So. Yeah, I was like, I feel like that's you.
Come on. Good. I managed to double up. I'm up to 26, 27 blinds. There is life after being down to 8 blinds. Now these 27 blinds feel like a victory. And the dream of winning my 5th bracelet at these World Series is still alive.
Again. Got coming soon.
Victor Blum has been eliminated.
Payout 642.
No more till now?
Chill.
Still?
Big chill.
6.5 million, I thought.
6.5.
5 minutes. Bam, 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 bam. You're crazy.
Yeah, 6 minutes.
Help me to hear. Yes.
You should go to
Ace King.
you know what that is?
Do you have contact?
Huh?
You have contact?
It's a raise. I saw it. Like,
The button opens on my big blind.
For one when I was visiting. With
It's a hand with which I can either shove or 3-bet without shoving. Both options are valid, but I definitely have to raise. That will depend on how I perceive he might react to my 3 bets.
Do it for like quitting smoking.
I make a non-all-in 3-bet to induce him and see if he goes all in with a worse hand.
It's like
350?
pretty crazy though.
I don't know.
I'm just kidding. I'm just saying. I was kidding about the hip resistance.
Kenny's probably got the best immune system on everybody here. Say, do it. Probably got the best immune system you can do that.
And he decides to call me. It's going to be a very important pot for my stack. I have 1 million left in a pot of almost 800. It's an important pot. Great flop, amazing. It's a flop on which I'm going to want to c-bet very often. I have the edge with ace-x against him, and my entire range is going to want to bet here, or at least the vast majority of my range. I use a small sizing, 10%. I think it's an appropriate sizing in this spot. He folds and I take down an important pot, especially for my stack.
Alright, gentlemen, new dealer coming in.
Thank you.
I keep accumulating chips. It seems like the comeback is real. After being so short, I managed to come back and have a stack close to the average. Although I'm still the player, or one of the shortest players at my table. Big blind. The player in the small blind is a player I don't know, but he looks like he's a European professional player who plays online regularly.
100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%
I consider that he must be a pretty competent player. Ace-9, my hand can be checked or raised.
Check.
The options are similar. Both options, I think, are quite reasonable. In this case, I decide to check. And the flop is great. After this check, my hand has to start betting. I can use several sizings, though I opt for the small one. Top pair, top kicker, and on top of that, the nut flush draw. It's a strong hand in this spot, and I think I have to continue betting to extract value from my hand. He folds. And a pot, even if it's small. I keep accumulating chips. 11 players, the average is at 2.7 million. I have 1.5, 1.6 left. Well, I'm still short, but well, considering where we came from, it's much better.
Buenas, ¿qué tal? Oh,
Good?
come back. 400
Here with the
for
technique.
1.8 now. Started at 2.8.
Yeah, I know. You had,
Still a really bad day, man. Fighting. Come back, yeah,
There it's on.
1.8 now.
Me too.
You do?
How you doing?
Nice.
Good?
Good
Not
set.
bad for
Much.
you?
4 stacks and a half.
Nice.
That's good. Let's put it in the same day.
What?
Well,
Two
you
bracelets in the
finishing
same day?
today or
Tomorrow.
tomorrow? Yeah.
That one finished?
You're fishing today?
I finished today,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah?
Well,
It's 11 left, yeah.
last year they had to extend one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Sure?
Depends on how.
Long
I mean, it's like 50 deep, huh? Yeah.
We are deep,
11
yeah.
guys and good. No, you can finish.
But it's short. Yeah, I
Also
think.
short-handed, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Short-handed.
Big right.
Yeah, let's see. I have the flight in the night, so I didn't cancel
Tomorrow?
yet.
Tomorrow?
Not today.
That's
At 9.
a horrible. I don't know. I'm not saying anything.
That's
I would
not going
just. I
to
would
work.
have changed that so
I will.
fast.
No, I will. I will choose in the dinner break. If I still in the dinner break, I change it.
Did they announce they're gonna do it in 2 hours?
I guess. Yeah, I'm guessing. Yeah,
I think we have dinner break synchronized
probably. Yeah, we can. Yeah.
because we just came off break. Our breaks are synchronized by 5 minutes.
Yeah. Going to the toilet. Are you going to stay here or no?
Yeah.
Could you check the back? Thanks.
My flight is scheduled for this evening. I would only miss it if I made a super deep run in this tournament, but, well, that's what's happening. If I change it, that would be a good sign.
That's it.
The story of the summer.
See you.
Good, let's go.
2 backpacks and a lot of luggage left at the hotel. Ready to leave in case I get eliminated, although the plan is to play each hand as well as I can and delay the flight by a day. Get a hotel in Vegas and stay one more night with, I hope, my 5th bracelet.
Today, I was so sure. I wouldn't call unless I was really sure.
6 of clubs.
With basic.
Obvious raise from the button.
Raise 120.
To start 1.5.
1.8.
It's Mustafov's big blind, a regular player from Bulgaria. He decides to 3-bet me from the big blind. My hand is a pretty obvious call in this situation. It's not the most profitable spot in history, but calling in position with this hand is going to be profitable in the long run. A great flop for my hand. I have a flush draw, a straight draw. Even if he has premium hand, a hand like aces or ace king, we're flipping, and I even think I might be ahead with all the cards that improve my hand. He c-bets, and even though it's a flop where I have few all-in raises, I think that with this SPR and this hand, the best move is to go all-in. Some of my hands also want to go all-in for value, like a king-queen and some bluffs. I think I must have a few of those as well. This is a very good candidate. As I said before, going all-in, even if he has a strong hand here, isn't that dramatic because a lot of cards help me. The question is whether I should go all in directly or raise without going all in. I'm thinking about how I would play my king-queen, how I would play my value hands. I think it's better to raise small. I'll end up all in if he shoves anyway, but I think my range plays better with a small raise than with a shove. $500?
Raise to 500.
This way, I can also include some bluffs with less equity to fold to a shove, which won't be the case here. But I think my range benefits more from this sizing than from going all in directly, although I think the difference between the two lines is going to be quite similar. He's thinking a lot. It's a tough spot for a big part of his range. He decides to fold and I take down a nice pot. It's a nice draw, but I have 7 high, so him folding is always good news. Ace queen. Open.
Raise 120.
The button 3-bets me. He has about 25 blinds. My hand is more than obvious. I have no other option but to go all in here. Plus, James is an aggressive player, capable of having enough bluffs, even more than enough in this spot. Theoretically, my hand is an obvious shove. Let's see if he folds. Him folding would be the best outcome. But if he calls, I still have a lot of equity against his range. All in. He doesn't snap calls, which is good news. But yeah, he calls. It's a flip, a very big flip. 3 million chips. Important to win this one. Come on, ace. Good flop, the queen is good. Come on, hold it. No. Ugh. What a shame. After I hit the queen, he hit a set. And it doesn't feel good at all after grinding all the way from 400,000. Short, but oh well, it is what it is. It's a cooler. We both played the hand well, and I lost the flip this time.
1 million right here. 1.4.
Less than
1.3 I did.
yeah.
15 back.
I have about 800 and change left. I'm back in the zone under 15 blinds. I'm gonna have to keep grinding. It was an important flip with 10 players left, but hey, nothing I can do about it. The button opens. He's one of the big stacks in the tournament. Queen 3 offsuit against the button, and it's a defense.
Call.
Let's see if I hit the flop.
Right? Plus
Bad flop. If he bets, I'm going to have to fold. I hope he checks, but if not... He picks up chips and bets. Obvious fold. And I find myself even shorter. King Jack. 11 blinds against the big stacks open. On the cutoff, it's an obvious all-in.
All in.
You raise all in.
King Jack off. He folds. This wrist deal is pretty important.
Страшен играч.
Call.
the red slicer. Red. Okay.
15 blinds open.
Raise.
With this stack, I have a min-raise range and a snap-shove range. This hand is clearly a min-raise.
Pop it down. Попра. Ево тук.
It's defended by the big blind. Small SPR, pot at 330. I have 800 left. A flop that favors my range, on which, theoretically, I should have a very high c-betting percentage.
$70.
I bet 1/5, which is what I would do with the majority of my range. He calls. Let's hope a favorable turn comes. Turn is a 3, which brings in a second flush draw. My hand has some showdown value. I have better bluffs to bet with here. My hand is too strong to turn it into a bluff, so I think checking is the best option, and let's see that river. Bad river completes a lot of his bluffs. Queen 9 makes a pair, 10-9 makes a pair, Queen 10 makes a straight. That leaves him with a lot fewer bluffs. His main bluffs are the missed flush draws, although some flush draws could already shove on the flop. He can have two sizings here, a small one representing the jacks and the 9x, and another one, all in, representing the strongest hands, combined with bluffs. My hand is not a good bluff catcher in this situation, in my opinion. So will I fold?
Вчера не съм продължил.
A limp from an opponent in the small blind. 8-5. This hand with 10 blinds, it's a check.
Check.
Checks. Heads up.
Bad flop for my hand. My opponent decides to check. I think my hand isn't strong enough to start bluffing here.
Checks around.
My opponent checks again. I need to think about whether my hand is an acceptable bluff on the turn. I think it's not.
Checks around.
He checks again. I have to decide whether to bluff with this 8-5 or not. I'm at the bottom of my range, but I'm not representing much. Most of my King X are shoving pre-flop. Wow. He doesn't bluff with 6-4. Good. I win. I win with 8 high. I wasn't expecting to win here. I think he missed his bluff at some point. He can't let me win with 8 high. How wonderful. I wasn't expecting this pot. An important pot I didn't expect to win. On the river, I can't bluff with my 8 high, not because I don't think I'll win, but because I'm representing very little value. A lot of my king high hands shove on the river, and I think I need to be very selective with my bluffs on that river. 8-5 without a spade seems like a check to me, but winning at showdown is amazing. I raise deal with ace deuce suited.
All in.
You raise all in.
And hopefully they fold. Good. $1 million chips.
Next break is dinner break or no?
Dinner break's gonna be at the next break.
Yeah.
Yo,
After the
I
next
have dinner
level.
break in
We're 80
18
minutes away
minutes.
from dinner.
How long is gonna be? How long?
60 minutes.
60? Okay, thanks.
Ace 6 offsuit on the cutoff. It's a decent hand. It's on the borderline between folding and opening.
120.
I decide to open it.
Raise.
Michael defends from the big blind.
Two players.
Bad flop for my hand, but good for my range. Offensive flop,
70.
on which the majority of my range wants to bet 20%. It works well this time. Very similar to the ace-queen hand from earlier, but this time the continuation bet works out well.
Raise.
Open from the button. I have about 20 blinds. Ace 4, obvious shove. A rest deal hand against the button.
All in.
These short stack spots, under 20 big blinds, I have them pretty internalized.
Just dumping all the time.
It's many years of studying and working on them. King, queen. Open from the hijack.
120.
Raise.
He grabs chips to defend.
What's up?
I'm gonna have a very high c-betting frequency. My range is very advantaged.
80.
Yeah, 80 dogs.
My opponent calls the continuation bet.
Call.
A board pairing ace. I have a hand that isn't really a good candidate to continue with. I have a bit of showdown value. Sometimes I'm ahead of hands like King Jack suited, King 10 suited, hands like these. I have a bit of showdown value, but not much. And the fact I'm blocking these hands I don't think it's a good idea. I have other bluffs that are much better to bet on this turn, and this one isn't one of them. Plus, with a king high on the turn, I'm ahead of several hands in his range, and on certain rivers I can bluff catch. This river is pretty bad because it takes away a lot of his bluffs. It completes 9, 7, 5, 4 makes a pair now. 7, 5 makes a pair. Those are hands that aren't going to bet. And he chooses a big sizing, 2/3. It is true that I'm winning against some hands. I have a potential bluff catcher here. I need to calculate whether there are enough or not. The main bluffs could be 10-7, 10-9, maybe Jack 10 suited, but he might go all in pre-flop with that. Hands like Jack 9 suited, Queen Jack suited. Sometimes he might also go all in pre-flop with these hands. I think King Queen isn't enough to call the sizing he's put out. Maybe if he bets smaller I'd have better odds and I could call, but with this big sizing, I think King Queen isn't enough.
All right, gentlemen, new dealer coming in.
A king. Another king. Obvious open.
160.
160 is the rate.
Mustafov seems to be thinking on the button. And he goes all in.
Not all in.
Great news.
Oh no. Oh, not all in.
All in.
Kings versus Jacks, a good spot for me. Come on, hold. Good, I double up. Let's go.
I have 1,250,000.
You cover, I think.
This is 5.
155.
155. Okay, let's just verify this. Okay. 5 plus 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, 155.
I've practically eliminated my opponent. He's left with 2 blinds, I think. 100,000. Yes, he has 100,000 left. We had very similar stacks. And I double up at a pretty important moment, just as I was in the danger zone.
That clash was really good for you, Adrian. Now you can bounce back from that eventful stint in which your stack was put to the test. You're back above the 30 blind mark. Your sprint towards the final table of the 6max $10,000 tournament is fully underway. The goal is very close. There are only 10 of you left in the race. We'll be there to experience everything with you very soon in the next episode of Inside the Mind of a Pro.